I need revenge. God. So, friends, it appears we've almost reached the finish line. All the friends in this story have to die. It's the nature of the plot. That scream that you heard in the intro for Steve was so much fun to do. Ugh. Chef's kiss. Ugh. Don't mind me burping on camera, oh, you Faye. Excuse me, or don't, I don't care. You can resent me if you choose. Really, God. Too many burps. My apologies. Might as well do a death metal scream to finish the deal, shall we? The introduction song was a lot of fun to create. I wanted something that was creepy, unsettling, and that the lyrics didn't really work with the vibe of the story that you knew where it was going to go, so it felt like there was a bit of a cognitive dissonance. The lyrics, everything is nice, everything is calm, everything is peaceful, until you're gone. I think it was effective. And then when I started adding the character voices in with various ways that they get killed, creepy as fuck, I think. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you liked that. I plan on experimenting more with music in future stories, more polished music. Not to say that this was bad. This was not a reflection of my range as a singer or as a music composer. You have stuff to look forward to, is all I have to say. Naturally, it makes sense that Liz would have been terrified, absolutely shedding all of the tears to the point that her tear ducts were dry, screaming potentially to the point that she didn't have a voice, or if she did, it was very, very soft, unless she knew how to do like proper screaming techniques, which I doubt she would have, especially in all the midst of this panic. Because of that, she couldn't remember her worst fear, because now everything was terrifying her. Logically, it checks out. So she has to go through her head to remember all the different ways that her friends have died, which kind of cruel for me to do as a writer to my fictional character, but it is what it is. If writers aren't torturing their characters to a certain extent, what's the point of reading the book? You know, like, honestly, aside from really cute stories, ones that are literally written for children and that are just almost painfully adorable, like Winnie the Pooh comes to mind, tell me a good story that does not involve any sort of character death whatsoever. Also, even in Winnie the Pooh, that's not a really good example, because there's implications of death here and there depending on the episode. That's just handled very, very subtly. And I digress. Tell me an interesting story that you know of that is really engaging, that you enjoyed thoroughly, that you were not bored, that you didn't think was corny or cheesy, etc., that did not involve death or some type of hardship for the characters in some way or another. I literally cannot think of any. But if you can, let me know. I write more than just tragedy. I write more than just really messed up stuff. I do write some happiness, like I said in past videos. This is not the end of what I'm capable of doing as a writer. This one is sad though, I warned you. It is a tragedy. The ending, although it is brutal, which is coming out, part 6, you know where it's going. Like, you knew in part 1, there's no spoiler. You know what's going to happen to Mizu Hanamichi. You know this. It was told from the It was told from the very beginning what would happen to the traitor, what they agreed to, essentially, what they signed up for when they went to the realm, what they've been training their whole life for. So for me, like I said in other videos, part 6 is badass, but part 5 is just, it's so sad. So that's why I'm here, to kind of give you a little bit of an aftercare, maybe make you laugh a little bit, and explain some details here and there about what happened in the story in this part. There's not really a whole lot to cover. I'm realizing this now that I have the camera rolling. I will say, though, one thing that is worth mentioning. Once she remembers her fear and that she has to die alone, I made sure to explicitly mention that Mizu Hanamichi lifts a finger to extinguish the flame of the burning crucifixion. Theoretically, I could have had it so she didn't move at all, and her connection to the realm just snuffed it. But just to make absolutely certain there were no plot holes, no loopholes, nothing that would be like, oh, that could have been someone else. Like, still, there's not enough evidence to really prove that she was a traitor. We couldn't have guessed it. I wanted to make absolutely sure, to cross the T's and dot the I's, that all the stuff that the cultist said was followed 100%, without loophole, without any sort of discrepancy. And to do that, I literally had her use her hand, finger on the hand, because subtle, wanted it to be a trick of the light potentially, just in case Liz saw something. She was so far into the ritual, she couldn't bear to risk it then at that point. But that is why it happened that way. And you may have noticed it's just me this time, not Dad Ravelis. He will be here for part 6. There'll be a lot more to talk about part 6, I assure you. But he has found this series to be very sad, which is a tragedy. Of course it's going to be sad, but like, he does not like this series really. He has been watching it in support of me, because he's literally my biological father and he wants to support his son and his writing projects, but he does not personally like this story. If that is also the case and you do not personally like this story, I take no offense to that. Do know that this is not the end for any of these characters. And me as a writer, I want characters that get unjustly unalived. I want them to get revenge. And if they don't get unalived, I want there to still be some type of revenge. I want there to be character arcs. I want characters to potentially be able to redeem themselves, and characters who are unredeemable for cathartic reasons so that the reader can put a face onto the imaginary character if they want to. I want them to be brutally destroyed. So, with that being said, all of these characters are innocent. This is not the last you'll see of them. And when you see them again, if I decide to rough them up a little bit more, that also will not be the end of it. You'll know it's the end of that character in this story when they fully get their revenge and they feel justified. That's where it's going to end up soon enough. I don't just kill off innocent characters all willy-nilly without any sense of justice or anything like that. For example, this is a controversial opinion regarding French literature, I know, but I cannot stand Les Miserables. I want revenge. I want justice. So if I'm looking at the French classics, I don't want to read a story about miserable people who are, most of them, innocent, and even the ones who are doing the acts of injustice are victims themselves due to the society. I think it's beautifully written for what it is. It is not intended to be happy, and it succeeds very well with conveying how much was wrong with that society, that time in France, which a lot of it's still wrong now in modern France and modern places in the world right now. It's the thing. It's very well done. But I need revenge. So my favorite French classic, and probably one of my favorite books actually, period, is The Count of Monte Cristo. Because I need that justice. I need revenge. If a character is going to be unjustly treated, I need them to get payback later. Otherwise, it's like, why am I reading this? I already know the darkness that's in the world. I already know that things happen. I don't need to be reminded. I don't need to be inundated by all this shit that I can't control. I want fiction to be a form of escapism. So if you're just reminding me, oh, the world sucks, it always has sucked. Here you go. Here's a book. Cry, feel numb, hate this character. They don't deserve what happens to them, but that's life. No. No. Not interested. Not your intended audience. Not a thing. Not interested. Off. But that's not me. I do, like I said, can't stress this enough. Revenge. Revenge and justice. Huge part of my stories. Always keep that in mind. So if you're reading a tragedy, it's not the end. I am really drawing on. Did I even really need to record this video? Did I really give you any new information? I mentioned the finger, the extinguishing of the flame. And I mentioned that several times I mentioned that I prioritize revenge and justice in my stories. There, you learned something new from this video, I guess. Maybe I wasted your time a little bit. Maybe I amused you. I'm gonna fuck off now. Ouch!